Well, greetings. Forgive me. I don't often speak from notes, as you know, but I've got a number of questions or observations that I want to make, and I sort of really need a prompt because there are quite a few of them, and they baffle me. And as I go round the town and I go for my walk with my dog, so on and so forth, I know they baffle everybody else. And I thought I'd just flag them up here, because really they are questions that mainstream media should be asking. And in the mainstream media simply aren't asking, and I don't know why, and the people I speak to don't seem to know why, although one or two questions are belatedly being asked. Now, these aren't in any order necessarily of priority, but they all come together and they're all sort of linked as to what's going on in the country today. The first is the public sector to be immune to any cuts in employment, salary or pensions? Or is the entire burden to be picked up by the wealth-creating sector? I don't know. I think we ought to be told. The national debt is circa £2 trillion. £2 trillion. Astonishing. Where's all the money going to come from? We've got another 6 months of this nonsense going on. It seems to me just crazy. So where's the Chancellor going to get the money? We're already £2 trillion in debt. Shouldn't somebody be asking that? Why is it that we're only getting figures, as always, on infections? Who's infected with this coronavirus? I'd like to know, and I think it should be set in concrete, that maybe every week we should get a real statistic, solid statistic, from those deaths by COVID, not with COVID, but by COVID. We need to know exactly how many people are dying to see if this pain that we're going through and potential economic collapse that we're going through is actually going to be worth it. We're not getting that. We're only getting people, teenagers or people in their 20s are being infected. That's not the same thing, and it's of no value. Is there any form of estimate of non-COVID deaths by closing large parts of the National Health Service? I'm getting an awful lot of people writing to me now and saying they're not getting their checkups, their post-cancer checkups or their potential checkups for cancer or various other problems, diabetes and so on and so forth. And this is rather worrying. Where's the trade-off here for people we are going to see dying in the coming months and coming years because their conditions weren't diagnosed in time? Prostate cancer for men, of course, and breast cancer for women. Are we waiting for a vaccine indefinitely? Because it looks like we are. Boris has always said that we're mad. If we're anti-vax, we're mad, which is, of course, a little bit mad in its own right. Now it's gone on for we're having another 6 months of this. And basically they've been saying until they got the new track and test system up and running to their satisfaction, or there's a vaccine. Well, 6 months is a very long time. Are we to expect that this is going on and on and on until there's a vaccine? Because this is how it strikes me at the moment. And secondly, it also gives the impression, is a vaccine going to be compulsory? Now, when I say compulsory, I don't mean they're going to strap us down and jab us. I mean, is it going to be the fact that we can't live our lives without an ID showing that we've had this vaccination? You know, whether it's theatre, foreign travel, going to the cinema, going to a pub, going to a restaurant. Is that the way this is going, on a sort of point system like they have in China? Because this is the impression that is being given by the government. We're also, are we not, referring to the NHS track and test system. The NHS track and test system. Well, it isn't the NHS. Nothing to do with the NHS. It's been subcontracted to private practice, private contractors, Serco, Deloitte, G4, Sodexo, Randox, Boots and so on and so forth. This has gone straight out to the profit-making sector, and I'm not anti-profit-making sector by any means, but it does beg the question, doesn't it, that the billions of pounds that are being handed to these organisations by our public sector people, our public servants, civil servants and our politicians. And one begs the question, who's benefiting for this? Are there any sidekicks going on here? Is any kickbacks? And who's got their hand in the till? The Daily Telegraph has already exposed Sir Patrick Vallance of having £600,000 worth of shareholders in vaccine companies, and I'm pretty sure that lots of other people do too. So is this a question of making just lots and lots of money? And my experience in business and politics has been that you follow the money, you normally get the right answer. Why isn't there any investigative journalism going on by mainstream media, finding out actually who has got their hand in the till, who has potentially going to get their hand in the till, and what promises have been made to senior government officials and civil servants for when they actually leave office? Any nice little tickles like our Chancellor got, the past Chancellor got from BlackRock, £500,000 a year for not doing very much. Nice work if you can get it. So what's going on there? The Prime Minister has threatened the use of the army. Well, I know Richard Dallett has put something in the Daily Telegraph this morning, but, I wonder if he understands, Boris Johnson, how the army works. You can't send in the 1st Battalion, the Coldstream Guards, to a dinner party because they might be having 8. You can't send the Queen's Dragoon Guards into a pub because it might be serving after 10 o'clock. The army doesn't work like that. And I have to tell you, with very modest military experience, the army won't do it. They won't do it. They're not politicised like the police, who'll do absolutely anything that they're told to do. The army isn't like that. The officers have the Queen's Commission. You'll find that they will resign. NCOs won't enforce it. This has got nothing to do, this in aid of the civil power, and if you look up the rules and regulations with the Ministry of Defence, the army can aid the civil power if there's a national emergency like flooding, fire, or terrorist violence, but they're not there to break up peaceful demonstrations in Trafalgar Square, and they won't do it. Let me tell you, they won't do it. So this use of the army is an idle threat, and a stupid and a dangerous one at that. In other words, why were masks unnecessary? For months and months, masks weren't necessary. Now they seem to be necessary, and they weren't necessary in the retail sector for people wearing a mask all day, poor souls. Now it is. What changed all that? There's no evidence that I can find, and I've been researching this now for weeks to support the fact that all of a sudden now people in the retail sector, poor sods, have got to wear masks all day, with all that entails, all the unpleasantness and the bacteria that entails, and the actual danger of wearing a mask long term actually is. Why isn't anybody talking about that? Is it to perpetuate the fear? Is it so everybody walks around zombie-like with masks on, having a very unpleasant experience, just to keep the fear going, so that people are more likely to succumb to compulsory vaccine or vaccines that are threatened in the future? Why has there not been any discussion about immune systems? You would have thought it would be in Janet and John Book 1, wouldn't it? Advice from the National Health and mainstream media on immune systems. How can we help our immune system? The best way of fighting viruses and bacteria is with our own immune system. I've seen nothing on this at all. Vitamin D supplements, vitamin C supplements, B12, magnesium, whatever it happens to be. Can we get some discussion going on this? It's our best hope, is it not, of fighting these bugs ourselves, such as they are. I know the recovery rate is 99 odd percent in most cases with people who are previously healthy. But let's investigate that. Shouldn't we be talking about that? And we're not. And if you're really worried, I'll just finish up with this one. If you're really worried, Matt Hancock, about this second spike and we're all in danger and it's all going to be gloom and doom, why did you dismantle the Florence Nightingale hospitals? They're all dismantled. So you don't really believe it, do you? Or you wouldn't have done that. Or have you dropped an almighty clanger? And what are most people really asking about now? Is there something we don't know? Is there something we don't know? Is there something you're not telling us? Because at the moment, the numbers don't stack up. The statistics don't stack up. The deaths don't stack up. The mortality rates don't stack up. Nothing actually stacks up except diktat coming out of number 10 Downing Street. And when I look at the Prime Minister's face, I have to say, when I look at his face, I'm wondering if he isn't actually unwell. Is he unwell? This irrationality is deeply disturbing in our government. Can MSM step up to the plate, ask some of these questions? Will you ask some of these questions? Because at the moment, frankly, you've done bugger all.